hard for me to read. I'm gonna do my best because I feel like Mama would like it. I'm Lacey, her daughter-in-law, her granddaughter Cora's mom, Trey's fiance. My favorite thing to do when I would go visit Mama's house is to sit with her and listen to stories about her life or tell her stories. That's why I'm deciding to do this. I'm horrible at talking in front of people, but I think Mama would like if someone told a story. We used to sit on the back porch and talk forever in the summer evenings. Sometimes it was under the carport, and lately it was on the couch. But she always had a story to tell, or something to talk about. And my favorites were the funny ones, or the ones about places that she'd been. She blew my mind telling me about being on TV in her favorite soap opera and going to California with Sandra. She whipped that photo album out for proof. She would talk about living certain places before she lived in the home that she did now. She'd tell me about what the places in Gastonia are now, what they used to be, or stories about when her own son John was little. She would tell me all the funny stories about Sarah and Trey and John, all as kids. Memories of when Trey and Sarah had a swing on the tree outside. Memories of when they didn't listen so great. She would laugh at those. Sometimes I'd hear the same stories and I'd still listen. I'd be so excited to listen. Joanne not only got the chance to see her son grow up, but her grandson and granddaughter grow up, and grandbabies grow into middle school and double digits. That's something. But every time that we would speak and we'd get lost in my story or hers, I'd find myself drawn to her hands. They told stories of beauty, age, wisdom, and of course, owning and loving cats. Y'all would better take care of cats. But something else was so beautiful about her hands. And for forever, I feel myself wondering what it is. She wore an opal ring, and I always complimented her on it, even telling Cora how cool it was. She wore opals before millennials made it trendy. So she put those hands in the soil and planted flowers. She worked in her yard until she just couldn't anymore. She cooked delicious holiday food. She cleaned her house spotless. You couldn't even tell she owned a pet, but she had a few. She was more willing to be out in the summer heat than I was. And honestly, she drove better than me. But that's not hard to do. Those hands had touched places like, and I had to ask Sarah and Daniel how to say these words, Honduras, Cozumel. I don't even know if I said those right, but she knew how to say them because she traveled the world with Sarah, Daniel, and Addie. And this is all before she was unable, but I think I know what it was now. It wasn't anything physical that she had, or that she held in her hands. It was something that she held in them metaphorically. It was something inside of Joanne. Of course, she did always have a beautiful appearance too. She knew it too. She told us the night before she passed. Trey said, "You know you're so beautiful," and she said, "I know it." I think what I admired the most and what I have figured out is that she held grace in her hands. My mom carried herself with grace, period. But what it was that she did not give up on anyone. She did not turn her heart or head away from anyone or anything. She took in animals and helped them, even the raccoon family. We're not going to mention any further. She held comfort in her hands and in her voice as she spoke. She was a woman of love, humor, independence, and hope. And I don't think she liked not having her independence. But most importantly, she was patient, and I'm coming back to one thing I said before. She handled everything with grace. So I'm just here to say, to honor my mom in the best way possible, I think if we can find it within us to try to be more like Joanne, if we can try and make more positivity in a world of chaos, make memories together so that we can one day tell stories like her, take more photos, and go travel and go visit family, and keep in touch more often. If we can laugh more often, even if we can try to view life when it gets hard as glass being half full instead of the glass being half empty. If we can feed every cat we see. I'm just kidding, but but not really. And just have more patience and continue to love each other and learn to leave the past in the past and never take one single day for granted. Maybe one day we can hope that when we are telling our great-grandkids and grandkids stories one day, our hands will also tell our stories, and that their stories we will be happy for them to listen to more than once, because it will be told from people who try to live a life a little more like Mama Joanne. As I'm reading this, I hope one day when I have grandkids and great-grandkids to see and tell stories too, that my hands and heart hold as much grace as my home.